I just hit record now, so whenever you're ready, it's on. No one know where the cut is from.
So do you know who this is?
56?
Do you know what this is?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay.
I don't.
This is very, very important. This is very, very important. Pay attention. Okay. This is the jersey. This is an original jersey of Lawrence Taylor of the New York Giants. Probably, unequivocally, the greatest defensive football player of all time. People can debate it, but they're wrong.
Is it up for debate?
It can be, because people who are probably 20 years older than me will have another name. People 20 years younger than me will have another name. But here's the reason why Lawrence Taylor is the greatest defensive football player of all time. Then we're going to go into story time. Before Lawrence Taylor, teams would just have an offense that they would execute and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and watch out for this person. Lawrence Taylor is the first person where people says, whoa, we can't do nothing because Lawrence Taylor is on the field. Okay, so we're going this way. No. Lawrence Taylor will be there. No. And they had to game plan against. He's the first football player that they had to game plan against him as an individual. Then say what else is going on. Okay, not the whole team. They go, whoa. We're making a stupid analogy. Jesus is over there. Okay, so before we talk about the disciples, we got to make sure we deal with Jesus. That's what makes him who he is. Okay, unequivocally. Then there's the stories about his life and stuff like that, which is a whole nother conversation. But that's why award is in his honor, because if I want to be egotistical, I'm the greatest podcaster of all time. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. Yes, I award Lawrence Taylor today.
Industry rule number 4080. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady.
All right, so like I said before, I'm always being asked.
You got it.
Okay. That I just need to tell some of my exploits running around the industry, because I was around at a time when a lot of things didn't happen. So, using my Trey voice, it's story time. Oh, it's story time. Telling the story. Last story time I spoke about working with KRS-One and how I had to get the song Step Into a World done because I didn't have DJ Premier to work on the album. So Step Into a World, so this is part 2 of that story that relates probably to me directly, that speaks historically. So when that time and age, when you did a song, you did a remix. It was like second nature to do a remix for that song. So the song was already doing this thing in the streets, radio, biggest record of his career, da-da-da-da-da. And we're doing a remix. So now people are soliciting to want to do a remix. A lot of people came to me, A lot of people don't know this. In those days when Bad Boy first started, I was on the short guest list to go to Daddy's house to listen to albums. So I heard, watch Quran, I listened to Life After Death before it came out. I heard Mace's first album before it came out. I heard Faith's first 2 albums before they came out. I heard 112 before they came out. At this point in time, we went to listen to the Mace album. Okay, and basically Puffy had it all done with the remixes, and there was a remix to the single "Been Around the World," which I love the original with the David Bowie, but he already had the remix done. Okay, I actually like the remix better than the original, and I was like, "Yo, Puff, who did the remix? Who in the Hitmen did the remix?" So he said, "Nasheem is my guy," and I met Nasheem that night. And I just really liked what he did with the remix. Okay, and with Carl Thomas on the world. I've been around the world. Right. So anyway, when the remix was done, I wanted Nasheem to take a shot at the remix for KRS-One. Right. So I sent it over to Bad Boy. Right. I'm in my office. C.I. Smooth, shout out. I don't like saying the word shout out. Much love to C.I. Smooth. She knows what I mean. Cassandra. She was my assistant at that time. She comes in my office. She usually would buzz me this person's, you know, da-da-da-da, talk to this person, da-da-da-da, that type of thing, right? This time she walks in my office and stands in the doorway. I'm like, what is the problem? She's like, you're not going to believe me. I said, I guess not. She said, Puffy's on the phone for you. And I said, stop bullshit. She said, that's what they're telling me. Tell me Puffy wants to talk to you. So I said, all right. So they plug him in. And the guy's talking. I was like, this is some bullshit. I hang up on Puffy. Like, literally. Like, he's talking to me. I'm like, stop. I hang up on him. Okay? Calls back, right? And they said, you put, he said, put, right? That whole type of thing, right? So I get on the phone. He's like, motherfucker, why did you tell me that KRS-One had this record? This is the best record of his career. This is incredible. This is amazing. Yo, this is nuts. Oh my God. All types of Diddyisms, right? And I said, okay. I gave it to Nasheem. He said, no. I want to remix this. I want to remix it. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm talking about...
It's my Diddy.
Yeah, this is me. I'm doing the remix. I'm going to be on it. Me and KRS, I want the remix. I said, well, that's above my pay grade. I need to get you on the phone with the president of the company. Because I can't approve what you're going to cost. Because I got to pay you as an artist and pay the producers. And it's a remix. It's not a single. Okay? It's a lot of money. And for those that don't know, education-wise, when the song is a single and on the actual album, contractually, you do get royalties from that. The royalties from a remix are substantially different, smaller, or non-existent for a remix. So it doesn't make financial sense to spend a crap load of money on a remix just so it can sound hot on the radio if it's not going to benefit you 5 years from now in royalty fees. So that's what the conversation was. So I said, let me get you on the phone with the president. So I'm calling the president of the company upstairs. And he's doing to me what I did to Diddy. I'll call him later. I'm like, no. I got Diddy on the phone with me right now. Get on the phone. Okay? So what happened was, I'll never forget this. He basically didn't take my call twice. The president of the company. But he was upstairs. So I said, Diddy, give me your office number. And I basically ran upstairs and walked into his office. The president's office. I was like, I don't care what you're doing. Diddy wants to work with KRS-One. He said, what? I said, that's why I'm trying to get to you. And I said, I got him on standby to speak to you. That's why I'm calling you. So we call him, and basically Barry Whitestell is the president of the company, and Sean Combs are having their conversation. And once it turns into the financial, I knew that it was going to happen, or it was going to trigger at least to make a decision. So you don't need me no more. I'm creative. I'm not financial. You follow me? Right. So I walked out the room. I said, just let me know what y'all worked out. All right? So Nasheem called me. He says, yo. I said, I got you. Because Nasheem felt a little bit slighted that now Diddy's going to do the remix. It's not going to be his remix. Okay? I said, no problem. We write you into the contract as one of the hitmen that we're going to work with. Like, I'm requesting you as the hitman producer to work with. Not just Diddy finding one of you guys. I want Nasheem. So Nasheem and Diddy did the remix. Ironically, Pete Rock wanted to do the remix. But at that point in time, Pete Rock was charging fees that just didn't make sense for what he was doing. And I knew that we wasn't going to pay a producer for, again, a remix for that price. But at that point, we're talking about More Money, More Problems, Benjamin's Diddy. Okay. So this is a different stratosphere, if you follow me, of coverage. So we do the remix, and I haven't even gotten to the good part. That's just the Diddy part of it. Okay, so originally KRS-One. If you ask KRS-One who his favorite 3 artists are, or his favorite rappers are, he'll say it's KRS-One, Chris Parker, and Boogie Down Productions. That's what he will say. Okay, there's nobody else. Okay, he might go behind him and say Grandmaster Caz or Melly Mel, maybe, but he's probably gonna say KRS-One, Chris Parker, and Boogie Down Productions. He's probably gonna say that. That's where his mentality is at. So I gotta deal with that mentality, and I gotta deal with Diddy at the height of Diddy-isms, okay, to come together to make a record. Okay, so we get this thing done. Chris understands the remix pricing and how it doesn't make sense, so he doesn't want to do this remix because it doesn't make financial sense. And remember, his favorite 3 rappers are Chris Parker, KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions. There's nobody better than him, so he's fine. Okay, I'm looking at him like, just for historical context, you must do this. Right? So I actually had booked a session. I took the biggest risk on this. I booked the session at Daddy's house that I knew KRS-One was not going to come to. I knew he was not going to come. And I knew Diddy was going to be there. But I did not want to put any, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't want to put anything sour on the situation to make it look like this person doesn't want to do it or this person's ego's in the way. I didn't want to get into any egotistical battles between them. So I booked the session. Literally was there with Diddy for like 3 hours. Ordering food, the whole thing. And then I said, well, Chris just called. He got a family situation. He's not going to be able to make it. Okay, so we wasted that studio time. But Diddy understood it was a family thing, and it gave me time to bring Chris around to come to the studio. Okay, so 2 days later, I set up a meeting with Chris and Diddy, and they have their creative conversation. And the beauty of it is that they're both good at what they do. So it's not about how is it going to be done. It's, you know, we'll do that, good, right? So Diddy talks about the concept and the idea, plays the idea for Chris. Chris likes the idea, and then he says, all right, we'll do our part, and then we'll have you do your verse part. And this is Diddy in deference to KRS-One being who he was, and saying, we'll lay our parts, I'll put the track down, and you tell me what you think, and you do your part last, so you can bring it home, okay, for to move something around, okay? So that was all done. That all went smooth. It all went fine. It took about a week and a half to get it done. I had to track people down because Diddy was in town, Diddy was out of town. Chris was doing a lecture tour, Chris was in town. So it was a lot of studio sessions to kind of get that whole thing pulled together. Eventually, to get this thing completed, because I want to get to the good part of the story, because there's a power at the end of the story. Eventually, I end up, I want to say at Peachtree Studios in Atlanta, tracking down Chris, who's doing a lecture tour at a black college university. And I had Diddy on the phone in New York producing. So literally, I have Chris doing his verse, and then I'm playing it for Diddy. And then Diddy is saying, change this, add this, fix this, ad lib this, blah, blah, blah. So I literally have them phone to phone. The night before, finishing up the record, okay? and Chris is having a little bit of a creator's writer's block, okay? So he's asking for certain things a little bit off kilter, like turn it up a little bit, change this a little bit. It's not really anything to change, it's just him working through his emotions, working through the song, okay? So the song gets recorded, okay? Diddy says, call me back in 15 minutes. I said, what's up? He says, no, you gotta listen to it, make sure you happy. I did what I'm supposed to do, but are you happy? Because this is not on Bad Boy, this is on Jive. So I need to make sure that you're good with this. So I listened to it from top to bottom about 3 times, and I had a pattern where I would listen to a song in the studio, I would listen to it on my Walkman or headphones or CD player, because I have them burn the CD, then I would take it in the car. And my goal was that it has to translate in all 3 arenas. It has to bang in the studio, bang short form, and bang in the car. If it does all 3, we got what we need. If it doesn't, we ain't right. Something ain't right. Okay, could be an EQ thing, whatever the case may be. Anyway, it passed my smell test. So I said, we good. Here's where the story gets good, gentlemen. He says to me, yo, so now that it's done, get the reels, you come out to California, we'll mix the record, you can take it back with you, and you can hang out with me for a couple of days. Biggie's album's about to drop, we got an album release party going on, the whole thing, you can come through, you good, you can just hang out, get the whole thing done. He invited me out to California to mix the song, okay? And this was during the release of Life After Death. So he was having an album release party, right? So me thinking financially and thinking common sense wise, I'm saying to myself, and I appreciated this, I said, he just made more money and more problems. He just made the Benjamins. He don't need me to tell him how to mix a record. He needs to teach me how to mix a record. Okay, you don't need me. Okay, so I said, nah, I'm good. I'll just send the reels. I'll send the reels. You send them back. We'll work it out. He's like, look, open invitation. He said, I don't care if you just pop up. Just let me know what you want to do. Either way, open invitation. So I had the invite. All right. Now I was slated to go on vacation shortly afterwards, and I was really burnt out because at that point in time, and I quote when I say this, I was N.O.R.E at one time. KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest, Keith Murray, Too Short, E40, Spice One, classic artist. The clique that E40 was with. I was working on R. Kelly and clearing samples. And I was helping out with admin on the Backstreet Boys.
Wow.
One me, no assistant.
Damn.
Or half an assistant. So I was burnt out because I was going hard for so long to get these records done.
Yeah.
So my energy was that I don't even know if I have the bandwidth to be flying out to California and come back. Diddy, you got this.
Right.
Okay. So we sent the reels out. And, you know, he called me from the studio when he was mixing the whole thing. I personally, I'll say it straight to the camera, I personally had no issues with Diddy. Everybody that had, Diddy did this, or bad practice, or business practice, or did this, I've never had any issues with him working together. It was always, we good, we cool, we professional, and we get it done, all right? So, I remember that being a Thursday when he invited me out to California. I remember sending it out next day on Friday. He called me from the studio, basically saying, I got it, and I'm working on it. Okay, so that's why he played it from the studio. I went home, I went to bed, and then Sunday morning, I got 2 phone calls. One was from Gwendolyn Niles, who was his admin person, executive admin person. And she told me that your mix may be delayed for a little bit. And I said, I'm like, what's going on? And she says, because Biggie passed away last night. And I said, what? She said, yeah, Biggie passed away. So we're not going to be able to get that to you. No, we said we're going Monday. We may need a couple more days, right? So I just want to let you know. And she says, you know, we're dealing with a lot. And I said, okay. I said, Gwen, you go. I said, I appreciate you giving me the courtesy of the phone call, and I'll let everybody know. Hung up from her. And 10 minutes later, Puffy called me from the hospital. Okay, and he was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able. He was in the space and place. He was there, and gave me all the emotion. He said, I'm sorry, I need you more on top of my stuff. And I was like, man, the world is literally changing right in front of our eyes. You have. I was on the phone with him for less than 30 seconds, because I'm not trying to have a conversation with him at that moment. You know what I'm saying? You know, he lost a child, he lost a family member. But the irony of the story is, as my friend Vanessa, she can confirm this, since I was in Atlanta with her when all this was happening before I came back to New York. I could have been in the room the evening of when Biggie passed away. That's the power. Only because I said, you go ahead and do it, right? And just send it to me. I did not go to California, but I was invited to go to California to be with Puffy. Okay, as he's working as the evening, that party, right? Because remember he got shot after the party, right, in LA. I was ready to be there with him and with the team that evening. But because I said I'm tired, and because you're good, you don't need me to teach you how to mix, I did not go. Otherwise, I would have been there the evening that Biggie got shot.
Wow.
And that's the story. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yo, you better talk to him before the fish put his part to him. Look around, shit, get talk to him. Lose a part to him. Lose a major part to him. Arm, leg. All right, so that's that one.